A light in every home.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأولين والآخرين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda. Our contact informations beginning with the phone numbers. First, the area code is 002-0238 555 248 or 249. The email address is ask@huda.tv, and the Facebook page is www.facebook.com/msalahofficial. And we resumed answering the Facebook questions beginning from today, alhamdulillah wa shukla. So hopefully in a few hours the pre-recorded episode will be uploaded to the Facebook page, which is once again facebook.com/msalahofficial. Barakallahu feekum. It is very important every once in a while to reflect on things that happen around us. For instance, a few days ago, last week, we spoke about Hurricane Sandy, and we learned the difference between al-riyah and al-rih in the Quran, and we recognize that these are all amongst the hosts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes He sends them as means of mercy, and sometimes He sends them as means of torment. And things keep popping up, and more things are happening. So as Muslims, we should really reflect upon what happens around us. This is the call of Allah in the Quran and the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ in his Sunnah. A few days ago, the American general, the director of the CIA, David Petraeus, had resigned, or he was removed from that position due to having an extra affair or marital affair while balancing the invasion or occupation of multiple Muslim countries, Iraq and of course Afghanistan. We all know that as a result of his killing thousands of Muslims, he was promoted to be the director of the CIA. In any case, we would like to reflect from a religious point of view on a very important fact, which is a guy who is extremely busy. He's a murderer, he's killing people here and there, and he's managing now the biggest and the most sophisticated intelligence agency in the world, the CIA. He has time to have an extramarital affair and to commit adultery. That's called adultery and fornication, of course, with a woman who's already married and with a couple of kids, and he's married and so on. Do you think why this is happening? I'll tell you why. Because the Prophet ﷺ warned us against this. He said in the hadith, لا يخلون رجل بامرأة إلا ومعها ذو محرم. Okay, these are the teachings of Muhammad ﷺ, which he said more than 1400 years ago. So the lesson that we want to learn is why things like that happen, even when it's not supposed to happen, because it's hard to happen. A person who's an older person, who's occupied with a lot of tasks, but he has the time to commit adultery. And with whom? Not with a young girl, rather with a married woman with kids. Why? Because when the Prophet ﷺ said, a man should not be alone with a woman behind closed doors unless if she has one of her maharim, one of the men of her maharim, a father, a brother, an uncle, a grandfather, a son, or if she has her husband with her, whether she's going to the clinic, to the dentist, to the regular check-up, sitting with a lawyer to discuss a case, if she's a business lawyer, if she's a business owner, if she's a manager of a company, having a close meeting with one of her employees or employer, all of that is not permissible, because it leads by the end to one thing, which is falling in the haram, committing adultery. It's a fact. That's why Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy on him, says, إن الله إذا حرم شيئا حرم الأسباب المؤدية إليه أو المفضية إليه. And that means whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits a thing, He also prohibits what leads to it, the means which would lead to getting involved in that prohibition. For that reason, in order to eliminate adultery from the society, for instance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nur ordered both men and women to lower their gaze, not to look at the opposite gender who's not lawful for them. They're not their mahram, they're not their spouses. قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ ذَلِكَ أَزْكَى لَهُمْ. Look at the order. In order to guard your chastity, in order to be modest, lower your gaze. Do not look at a woman or the beauty of a woman who's not lawful for you. And in the following verse, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ. And furthermore, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. And command the believing women to lower their gaze in order to guard their chastity and to be modest. وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ. This is the right order and this is the right sequence. You can never be a chaste or a modest person when you take the means which will bring you into indulging into adultery, even if you do not actually commit it. The Prophet ﷺ said, مَا خَلَى رَجُلٌ بِامْرَأَةٍ, a woman who is not lawful for him, whenever a man is alone with a woman who is not lawful for him, إِلَّا كَانَ الشَّيْطَانُ ثَالِثُهُمَا. But their third will be a shaitan. They are never alone. The third is a shaitan. Even if she's an older woman or he's an older man, even if both are married with kids, even if he was the president of the United States, and we have history of course, it doesn't matter who is this person. In fact, even if he is teaching her the Quran, even if he's teaching her the Quran. So when you allow somebody to come home to teach your wife, teach your daughters, grown up girls, the Quran, and there is no man with her, there is no mahram of her with her, this is haram. But she's learning the Quran, this is haram. But nothing wrong have happened, this is haram. What leads to haram is haram. So this is a reflection that we have today on this incident. Of course, I don't want to speak about the political part of it, which is how corrupt is this society and how corrupt those people. They reward a murderer by giving him this position as a reward for killing tens of thousands of Muslims. And for committing adultery, he's impeached from this position. It's very sarcastic. Yani, how cheap is the blood of Muslims? For being successful in killing that many innocent people, he's promoted. And for having an extramarital affair, he's impeached. Something really strange. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide the whole world to what's best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Mahmoud from Egypt, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Ask Huda.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. How are you doing, Dr. Muhammad Salah?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Thank you for asking.
I have two questions to ask you.
Yeah?
The first one is, what is the ruling on saying Jumaah Mubarak every Friday to others? And the second is a statement saying, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu say, dhikr is a special type of worship for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has put no limit on it.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the second question, Mahmoud.
The second question is, Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu say, dhikr is a special type of worship for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has put no limits on it. Can you please explain this statement?
I still didn't get it. A special type of worship, then what's the next?
For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put no limit on it.
I'm sorry, I can't get the question. If you can if you can send it in writing or communicate with the people in the control, inshallah they will deliver to me within the program. But as far as greeting people on Friday and say Jumaah Mubarak, there is nothing wrong with that. A blessed Jumaah or a blessed Sunday or Saturday, invoking Allah to bless that day and to bless the people on that day, there is nothing wrong with that. And Friday is our weekly holiday. Allah chose that day. It is a great day, the greatest day of the week. So there is nothing wrong with that, and it's not an innovation either. Okay. Ishaq from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, sir.
Go ahead, brother Ishaq.
I want to ask, is it permissible for a woman to scan to know the sex of the child? Islamically, is it permissible?
Are you talking about the family planning?
No, no family planning. The scan. You want to know the sex. The sex
Oh,
of the child.
okay. To miscarry the child who is defected? Ishaq.
No. The sex of the child.
Okay. Jazakallahu khairan, Ishaq. Inshallah, we'll try to get your question. Brother Mahbub from United Arab Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Brother, I actually asked one question last week, but unfortunately the time was over. I was actually willing to know the sequence I followed during Hajj and if there is any problem. So I was in Muzdalifah. After Fajr prayer, I went to Jamarat, and from Jamarat I went to Kaaba, and after Duhur I did Tawaful Ifada and then shaved my hair.
You didn't return back to Mina because your son was sick, right?
Sorry? No, it's not me. So Mina, I came back, came back after Tawaful Ifada. I came back around night time. I came back to Mina. But
Okay.
the sequence, so I did Tawaful Ifada before shaving my head.
I see. Okay. That is fine. The order is sunnah. So even if you postpone shaving or trimming the hair after Tawaful Ifada, that is permissible. There is no blame on you, nor do you owe any penalty or ransom. Okay? Barakallah feek. Fahim from Sweden. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. How are you?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah. Barakallah feek, Fahim. Go ahead.
Sheikh, I'm asking this question on behalf of one sister.
Yeah.
The sister was been divorced and she has 3 children. And she started working at the airport. But she has to take off her job. But due to that, she has left that job. But she is now in crisis. And her husband is also not helping her. So can she go back to that job again?
And take off the hijab, you mean?
Yeah, but before when she went to that job, she has to take her job off at the airport. But she left that job because she didn't want to take off her job. But she is now in crisis. You know, her husband is also not helping her, and she has also 3 children.
طيب, I perfectly understand that in Sweden, if you don't work, there is, of course, a welfare. The government supports the unemployed, especially if she is a mother who's looking after 2 children. And this support will be fair enough to cover the expenses. But I do not find an excuse or a justification for a Muslim woman to take her hijab off to work in order to earn. Because I'm kind of aware of the financial situation, whether in Europe, in the States, in North America in general, in countries of this nature, where there is definitely a government support for those who are unemployed. In addition to, there is a child support by court to her 2 children, which will be fairly enough to support her as well. So I would not be able to tell you, yes, it is lawful for her to take the hijab off in order to work and earn. In addition to, in worst case scenario, it becomes the responsibility of the Muslim community. If there is an Islamic center, this woman will be eligible for the zakah. It's very amazing, you know, after September the 11th, many Muslims didn't know what to do with their zakah. People would come to me and say, I have a zakat, $30,000, and I don't know what to do with it. He's afraid to write a check to any organization that a few days later, the FBI would chase him or her and say, why are you supporting this organization or that organization? Imagine Muslims, I know Muslims, wallahi, they were not paying their zakah because they were afraid. So imagine the evil in such societies, banning people from supporting their fellow Muslims. I said there are a lot of local Muslims who are in need. You don't have to write them a check. Of course, writing them a check would give them a break from their tax. But he had, in this case, to support such sister or orphans, or give the money to an Islamic center in cash and they support him. So I cannot imagine an Islamic center or a Muslim community who cannot look after a Muslim woman who has 2 children. He has already a support from the government, a child support from the ex-husband, and she would need just a little bit of financial support from the Muslim community. Or any of the Muslim people, business owners, can give her a job to maintain her iffa, modesty, and she still shouldn't take the hijab off. Wallahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Assalamu alaikum. Sabir from United Arab Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The first question is, Sheikh, that in our countries, in Sri Lanka, India, and we have the practice of selling the old gold, and giving the old gold and buying new gold with additional money. And I have heard that it is not permitted, that you have to do as 2 transactions instead of 1 transaction. This involves, I think, riba, fadl and nasiya. Can you explain why it is so? Because we want to be clarified, because some people don't understand, they don't believe that, they don't want to accept it as why we should be do as 2 transactions. If you can explain that to me. And my second question is reciting Suratul Waqia, is there a hadith to say that it increases wealth?
The second question is what was the second question again, Sabir?
Reciting Suratul Waqia.
Okay.
Is that increases wealth if somebody recites frequently? Is there a hadith to support that?
Okay. Barakallahu feek. Brother Ismail from the KSA.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Dr. Salah, I have a question about, the rules of the traveling, the prayers, shortening the prayers. Right? I'm just confused about something. If we are traveling, right, I understand that we can shorten Zuhr and Asr, by the time Zuhr comes, right? And if you are still traveling and it comes to Maghrib, is it allowable to perform Zuhr and Asr immediately at the time of Zuhr, and then delay Maghrib and Isha till late at night?
Yes, if you're still traveling, especially if you are on the road or in the plane, on the highway, it is definitely permissible to combine 2 prayers at the time of either one of them. I mean with the 2 prayers, the daytime prayer and the nighttime prayer. Dhuhr and Asr together in one package, Maghrib and Isha together in one package. And in this case, you'll get the following concessions. Shorten Dhuhr, Asr and Isha, combine Dhuhr with Asr together at the time of either one of them. So you may pray Dhuhr 2 rak'ahs with 1 iqamah. Then right after you finish, you get up and you make another iqamah and you pray Asr. Then you're done for the daytime. The next prayer time will be at sunset or all the way until before midnight. Because the last time for Isha prayer is midnight, as we discussed before. So basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it so easy for the traveler. What he gets to pray is Fajr on time, with the Sunnah before Fajr. Then at the time of Dhuhr, all the way until before sunset, which is the end, the sunset will be the end time for Asr prayer. So several hours you get to pray Dhuhr and Asr either earlier at the time of Dhuhr, or you postpone Dhuhr along with Asr until before Maghrib. Then the next prayer time, or the next prayer to be offered, a bundle of Maghrib and Isha together. You may pray both together right after sunset, or postpone both together to the later time of Isha until before midnight. Barakallahu feek. Now, talking about blocking the means which lead to committing sins, particularly major sins, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom require us to stay away from the doubtful matters and from the areas which will put us in trouble, and the means which will bring us to indulge into those sins. Yesterday and today they've been talking in the Jerusalem Post about she was, I believe, the former Israeli Prime Minister Tzipi Livni, and she was also a Mossad officer, an intelligence officer, and she committed and she admitted that she had an illicit relationship with many diplomats, of course, Arab, Muslims, Palestinians, and others, diplomats in high-ranking offices, in the government cabinet, in the presidency, and with those who were negotiating the so-called peace treaties. I like to call it bees, not peace. Anyway, she mentioned names. It's very awful. And the guys who are fooled with that, now their names popped up. And she says that all of that is documented on video. Imagine. I hope that Muslims would realize that who is the enemy and who is the friend. And the Sharia is the only divine protection, not only for Muslims, but for the entire universe. The Sharia of Allah is the guidance and the protection for Muslims and non-Muslims as well. So having a diplomat, a male and a female, being together in a hotel room, it would not stop them from committing adultery. Maybe it is even deliberate. It is intended in order to topple them, then later on blackmail them. Unfortunately, presidents, kings and rulers of some Muslim countries were involved in that. And they've been blackmailed to give up on Muslim properties, to give up on Muslims' positions, to give up on Muslims' oil, to give up on Sharia, on deen, and everything. They've been fooled. For what? For an evil desire. And instead of the haram, the halal is abundant. It's very precious. Take as much as you want of the halal and avoid the haram. The very important lesson we learn from this incident, because now they are not blackmailing these guys anymore. Rather, they mention their names and they say they have videos, is saying that she said that the Jewish rabbis give her a fatwa, as Muslim scholars give fatwa, their Jewish rabbis give them fatwa, said it is permissible for Jewish women to be involved in prostitution, in adultery, in illicit relationship, in extramarital affairs, for the sake of Israel, for the sake of bringing more security to their country. It is okay to kill, it is okay to commit adultery, it is okay to steal, there is no haram. And that reminds us with their belief even before that, before the intelligence and so on, since the time of Medina era and the emergence of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they would consider dealing with riba amongst themselves haram. But it is definitely halal to charge Muslims in Arab and other than Jews interest. So deal with riba with other than the Jews is permissible, but amongst themselves is haram. Read this fatwa and recognize in which world that we live, which kind of rights and amendments that apply, and anywhere, where does it apply? There is no rights whatsoever. there is no justice whatsoever. The world of today is terrible. So I hope that the Muslim leaders would realize that if they do not rely on Allah, put their trust on Allah, and seek the support of the Sharia, they will be blackmailed and they will be exposed, not only in Al-Akhirah, but also in the dunya. The scandal that popped up today is miserable. How can you face your people afterward? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Conceal our sins. All of us are sinners. Human beings are sinners by nature. كل بني آدم خطاء, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. But خير الخطائين التوابون. That explains how come these guys were giving up on the Muslims issue, the Palestinian issue, because they have been blackmailed. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and enable us to have righteous rulers who would lead us towards success. As a prophecy, the Prophet ﷺ said, success and victory is coming, no doubt. And we will defeat our enemies, no doubt. But we have to work for it. We shouldn't sit back and say, yeah, one day Allah would send Al-Mahdi to lead us towards victory. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Baba Insa from Ghana.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Baba Insa, how are you?
Thank you so much, my brother.
You're most welcome.
I have two issues.
Now,
one is that when you are traveling by air,
now,
shortening of prayers, is it applicable to you? That is one.
Yeah, okay.
And then the second thing is that in Ghana, there are many institutions which require that if we can get Islamic materials, maybe to the hospitals and other institutions.
Okay.
Our colleague Christians, they have these important materials.
Yeah. Right.
In this institution, but some of us are lacking.
I got your point, Baba Insa. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much. Abdul Wahab from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Abdul Rauf, I'm sorry, from the KSA.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hajj Mubarak, Dr. Muhammad Salah. I prayed during my Hajj for you and your family during all my rituals of the Hajj.
May Allah bless you and your family tremendously and accept your dua. Ameen.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I was doing actually Hajj Tamattu and we reached Mina on 7th morning and we put our ihram in Mina itself. We should have put in Makkah, but we put in Mina actually.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable?
It is acceptable. Mina is from Mecca. Mina is haram. So it is okay.
And my question number 2 is actually the company which was organizing Hajj for us, they told us we were living in the extended Mina. And they said when you have to spend the night of Mina, you can even live in these tents only. Was that okay, staying in these tents during the night of Muzdalifah?
Okay, what was the second question again? In Mina you stayed in the tent and your company told you what?
That was the extended Mina. Basically, extended Mina was originally Muzdalifah.
I see. Okay. You're not blameworthy because when the Hujjaj outgrow Mina, it is permissible to stay in the closest area to Mina. So I know that many camps, basically the Australian, Turkish and American camp was outside Mina and within the boundaries of Muzdalifah. But since there is no room, it doesn't matter. It counts as if you are in Mina. That's entirely different than a person who has a room and has a place in Mina. Then he chooses willingly not to spend the night in Mina. He likes to stay in the hotel room in Mecca. Then he owes a fidya, a ransom, a blood to slaughter, a sheep to be distributed upon the poor people in Mecca because he skipped a wajib, an obligation. But your case is okay. Alhamdulillah, shukrullah. May Allah accept your Hajj and your dua. Brothers and sisters, let's take a short break, and inshallah we'll be back in a couple of minutes, so please stay tuned.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whom He wills subhanahu wa ta'ala for His mercy, for His messengership, for the revelation to be revealed. This is not for the human beings to make that decision. If a person would turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, truthfully, asking for forgiveness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to forgive. We have as Muslims a duty, and that is to recite the book of Allah, to ponder over the verses, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to act according to the Quran. The mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encompasses everything, but who would this mercy will be for? And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to all mankind. So the ummah, or the people of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are all mankind since the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam till the day of judgment. Why waste our life without getting to know every verse in the Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us?
Anger and violence have spilled over onto the
escalated into violent clashes between police and protesters.
over the government's plan to avoid default.
And we're also hearing of injuries on both.
Journalist Charlie McGrath says the cuts will heap further suffering on ordinary people.
For decades, but the fence needs some
This is a serious and big storm.
Join me as I explore pressing issues facing the Muslim world today. From the one-sided civil war in Syria to the genocide in Burma, from the Arab Spring to the elections in the US, and yes, even the Euro debt crisis in Greece. Honest reporting on a channel you can trust, and I won't leave an issue untouched. Don't miss the Ummah Tonight with me, Malik, on your favorite channel, Huda TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Before the break, Brother Ishaq from Nigeria asked about, is it permissible to run an ultrasound test in order to find out the gender of the baby? Yes, it is absolutely permissible. Just make sure that the one who's doing so is a female. Okay? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Adwan from the KSA.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Yeah, I hear you, Radwan.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program.
Sheikh, just wanted to know if a non-Muslim lady converts to Islam, then she is not practicing Islam and she will not listen to her internationally.
What kind of work, Radwan, that a non-Muslim woman would work for Islam? What kind of work?
From one Hello. Yeah, she traveled from one country to another country to get married to whom she was loving, and staying with that man in the same lodging and spending few days.
Radwan, unfortunately, your voice is breaking off. I cannot get a clear question. I know that you inquired about a non-Muslim woman working for Islam, even though she is not a Muslim. And I asked you what kind of work, what kind of service that she is introducing to Islam or da'wah or whatever. Please try again, Radwan. Brother Saber from United Arab Emirates had a couple of questions. That he buys gold and he saves it until the prices are higher than he sells them. Is this riba? There is no riba whatsoever in that. Basically, this is plain business, halal business. But just remember to pay zakah on that, because the gold in this case, with general consensus among the scholars, is zakatable. It's different than the gold which a woman has prepared to wear for adornment. there is a khilaf or a difference of opinion whether it's zakatable or not. But this kind of gold is business, it's an investment, so you should pay the zakah on it. And also when it comes to trading gold for gold, remember, because since you brought up the issue of riba, in the sound hadith the Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-dhahabu bil-dhahab," it must be handed over to the seller or to the buyer. There is an exchange at the same time, hand by hand. You gave me this kind of gold, equal amount to the amount which you're trading with me. So the gold has to be an equal amount and hand to hand at the same moment in order to avoid riba. The delay, the time delay, that's called riba, but with regards to time. There is another that's called riba nasa, pertaining time delay. And there is riba al-fadl, if an amount of gold is greater than another amount of gold. If they are not equal, then your best bet, like this patch of gold is a little older model and this one is newer, so he's selling it with a higher price. Then in this case, sell the old with the cash or for cash, collect the cash, then buy the new with an entirely different transaction in order to avoid a riba. Barakallah feek. Baba Insa from Ghana is asking about praying in the plane while airborne. Is it permissible to shorten the prayer? Of course, obviously. Once you leave your city limit, once you are traveling the travel distance, and I believe any aviation, any airborne, once you're flying, you will definitely fly beyond the travel distance which is required in order to shorten the prayer, 83 kilometers or 3 farasikh. And that reminds me of an incident that took place a couple days ago when they had an emergency landing for an American airline carrier, because a Muslim brother got up and he prayed, and there was only about 10 minutes left to land, and he wanted to catch the prayer before its time is out. So somebody reported him, they diverted the plane and they evacuated the plane and they arrested the guy. Why? Because he was praying. I know for sure that all over America, everybody knows the prayer of Muslims and how we pray. But it's become so silly when somebody hears me reading the Quran, or not even hearing me. When I open the Quran, he calls the attendants and he reports me to the pilot or to the captain, and the captain wants his name to be published in the Fox News and the CNN. Oh, we captured this guy. We got him, sir. We got what? Somebody was praying. Even in my seat has become so silly. Don't you ever talk about human rights, equity or equality or freedom anymore, because you're not worthy. You're not worthy. Muslims are being persecuted in America and in the countries which claim to be free countries. And this is just a recent incident. Sheikh Yusuf Estes was actually evacuated from the plane. He was forced to leave the plane. This is really silly. Racial profile, you name it. Discrimination, you name it. And once you land, they receive you with special forces from the plane. Why? Because you're a Muslim and you're working in da'wah. So if there is a chance, like what I do is, any airport where I have to pray for innocence before I board the plane. Before September the 11th, it was super nice. I actually used to ask the captain the Qibla direction and ask him whether it's okay for me to stand up and pray, because I have to exhaust this means. In all cases, Lufthansa, KLM, Delta, whatever carrier, they didn't mind. Rather, they would get me a blanket and say, yeah, we know that you have to offer your prayer, and we showed you the Qibla. It was beautiful. All of that has been changed. Total discrimination. Okay. Then I have to pray in my seat. So what happens is, some crazy somewhere, would report you. Why? Because he wants to be famous. And there is no weaker community, weaker people on earth more than Muslims. So he reports you, and the captain too wants to be famous, and so on, and they take it from there. So what I'm saying is, what I do is, I go to the security, or I go to the front desk, and I say, ma'am, whether it's a she or he or sir, I'm a Muslim and I have to offer my prayer and I'm asking you for a favor. Can you tell me which direction is north? Because in North America you pray, I believe, north-northeast. Okay. So, okay, she would help me out and the security is fully aware. Okay, I'm going to pray here and I'm going to spread my prayer rug and I'm going to offer my prayer. Is this okay? I get their consent. And I like to record that as well because you never know. So by taking these precautions, it puts you in peace and you pray with comfort. In the plane, likewise, you call attendant and say, sir or ma'am, I'm going to offer my prayer. I'm just acknowledging you. Can you imagine you have to get a permit to offer your prayer? What kind of freedom is this? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Zaki from Egypt.
Wa alaikum assalam, Shaykh.
How are you, brother Zaki?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine, Shaykh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah wa shukla, by the grace of Allah. Go ahead, brother Zaki.
Okay. Shaykh, Alhamdulillah, I performed the Hajj this year.
Yeah.
Okay. I did actually Hajj Tamattu. Okay.
Yeah.
So this was actually my first Hajj as well. And when I did my first tawaf, that is for Umrah, I came very close to the Kaaba. And in one of the corners, I saw people hugging and even kissing. Okay, so I too went as close as possible.
Which
and
corner?
I too kissed one of the corners of the Kaaba.
Which corner
and
was
when
it?
I came out, no, that's what. When I came out of the crowd, then I realized that there is another corner. That is what is actually the Hajr Iswat. And there I should have been kissed it. So I just wanted to know, like, do I need to give a fidya for kissing some other corner of the Kaaba?
Okay, barakallah fiqh. In fact, the only part which is to be kissed of the Kaaba or any stone is the black stone. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ did so. And we do not believe that the black stone has any power or strength or benefit or protects from harms. But it is a tradition of the Prophet ﷺ. And Umar radiallahu anh said so. By Allah, having I seen the Prophet ﷺ kissing you, I wouldn't have kissed you. Okay. There is no other part of the Kaaba to be kissed. But Al-Ruknul Yamani, the corner which precedes the black stone corner, it's also the sunnah to touch it by your right hand. That's called Yastalim al-Rukn. Al-Ruknul Yamani. And these two corners, because the Kaaba built on these two original foundations of the original construction of the Kaaba, while the other two corners are not actually the original two corners on which Ibrahim a.s. have constructed the Kaaba. That's why there is an ark. This area beneath or within the ark is from the original construction of the Kaaba. So since you did not know, you assumed that this is the black stone corner and you kissed it and you did not know, there is no blame on you, nor do you have to offer any fidya. Barakallah feek. Assalamu alaikum. Manar from Egypt.
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Amazing show, God bless you.
I'm sorry?
I'm telling you, amazing show, God bless you for it.
Barakallah feek. Go ahead, Sister Manar.
Well, I'm in my second year in college, and I wonder how the relationship between me and guys should be. You know, so far I've been trying to avoid any kind of talking, even eye contact. Yeah, some people are trying to tell me that I'm taking it too far. So am I? And another question, please, about birthdays. Should I be celebrating birthdays or even greeting people at their birthday, getting them gifts and all, you know?
Okay. Barakallah feeki, Manar. Sam from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the program.
She keeps helping me to remove this memories in my mind. The shaitan, if I remember Allah, always the shaitan is coming in my mind and trying to tell me bad words to Allah.
Because the shaitan gets so upset every time you remember Allah, so he wants to distract your attention. The more you remember Allah, the furthermore the shaitan will stay away from you, because he can never overcome the mention of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. remembering Allah, especially when you remember Allah properly, when you mention His name with your heart attentive, then you would reach the point where you will be able to overcome ash-shaytan. Especially when you begin your adhkar by saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaytan rajim. I seek refuge with Allah against the outcast shaitan. Thank you, Sam, for calling in. Manar from Egypt. What would be the nature of her relationship with her colleagues, boys, of course, at the campus? Okay, how do you perceive me? Am I related to you? No. Yeah, you're a sheikh. But am I allowed to shake hands with you? Am I allowed to invite you for a coffee, Starbucks, or for dinner? No, because you're not related to me, you're not mahram. Similarly, is your colleague or your professor or your student. Likewise, there is a hijab. The hijab is physical and moral. The physical hijab is to dress up properly to cover your awrah. Fine. And the most important hijab is the moral hijab, to know your limits. You can hang around with girls, and not every girl as well. You choose your colleagues, those who will help you to remain steadfast on the straight path. You can end up falling in the peer pressure with the wrong company of girls, which will be worse than men. So you choose your colleagues of girls, righteous girls of the same type, who support you to remain steadfast. And with regards to the boys, is like everybody else in the street. It is not lawful to you to hang around with him or to talk to him or her beyond the basic needs. So if somebody says Salaam alaikum to you, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, good morning to you. How are you? I'm fine, alhamdulillah, shukla. Do you care for a cup of tea? No, I'm sorry. Thank you. Then turn around. Why? Because one thing leads to another, and this is how it all begins, and this is how it all ends up. It's like, a cycle, and those who do not block the means, they end up falling in the pit of the ma'asi wal-'iyadu billah. A few more years in college, you said second year. 2 more years and you're graduated, alhamdulillah, shukla. I want to tell you one thing, that if you behave likewise, every boy in the campus who knows you would say, this is a polite girl, I wish that she would be my future wife. While the girl who's easygoing with everybody, she wouldn't wait for somebody to invite her, rather she would go and impose herself and invite boys and so on and sit and chat with them. You know what? When it comes to choosing life mate, no one would think about her, because they know that she is for everybody, not for one person. Fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until you graduate, Allah will secure you a good life mate and insha'Allah a good future. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and all the Muslim girls and boys in college and otherwise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us what's best. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Facebook questions beginning from today, alhamdulillah wa shukla. So hopefully in a few hours the pre-recorded episode will be uploaded to the Facebook page, which is once again facebook.com/msalahofficial. Barakallahu feekum. It is very important every once in a while to reflect on things that happen around us. For instance, a few days ago, last week, we spoke about Hurricane Sandy, and we learned the difference between al-riyah and al-rih in the Quran, and we recognize that these are all amongst the hosts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes He sends them as means of mercy, and sometimes He sends them as means of torment. And things keep popping up, and more things are happening. So as Muslims, we should really reflect upon what happens around us. This is the call of Allah in the Quran, and the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ in his Sunnah. A few days ago, the American general, the director of the CIA, David Petraeus, had resigned, or he was removed from that position due to having an extra affair or marital affair while balancing the invasion. حرم الأسباب المؤدية إليه أو المفضية إليه. And that means whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits a thing, He also prohibits what leads to it, the means which would lead to getting involved in that prohibition. For that reason, in order to eliminate adultery from the society, for instance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nur ordered both men and women to lower their gaze, not to look at the opposite gender who's not lawful for them. They're not their mahram, they're not their spouses. قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ ذَلِكَ أَزْكَى لَهُمْ. Look at the order. In order to guard your chastity, in order to be modest, lower your gaze. Do not look at a woman or the beauty of a woman who's not lawful for you. And in the following verse, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ. And furthermore, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. And command the believing women to lower their gaze in order to guard their chastity and to be modest. وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ. This is the right order and this is the right sequence. You can never be not supposed to happen because it's hard to happen. A person who's an older person who's occupied with a lot of tasks, but he has the time to commit adultery. And with whom? Not with a young girl, rather with a married woman with kids. Why? Because when the Prophet ﷺ said, a man should not be alone with a woman behind closed doors unless if she has one of her maharim, one of the men of her maharim, a father, a brother, an uncle, a grandfather, a son, or if she has her husband with her, whether she's going to the clinic, to the dentist, to the regular check-up, sitting with a lawyer to discuss a case, if she's a business lawyer, if she's a business owner, if she's a manager of a company, having a close meeting with one of her employees or employer, all of that is not permissible because it leads by the end to one thing, which is falling in the haram, committing adultery. It's a fact. That's why Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah have mercy on him, says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ إِذَا حَرَّمَ شَيْئًا.
A light in every home.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأولين والآخرين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Brothers and sisters, welcome to a new edition of Ask Huda. Our contact informations beginning with the phone numbers. First, the area code is 002-0238-555-248 or 249. The email address is ask@huda.tv, and the Facebook page is www.facebook.com/msalahofficial. And we resumed answering our occupation of multiple Muslim countries, Iraq and of course Afghanistan. We all know that as a result of his killing thousands of Muslims, he was promoted to be the director of the CIA. In any case, we would like to reflect from a religious point of view on a very important fact, which is a guy who is extremely busy. He's a murderer, he's killing people here and there, and he's managing now the biggest and the most sophisticated intelligence agency in the world, the CIA. He has time to have an extramarital affair and to commit adultery. That's called adultery and fornication, of course, with a woman who's already married and with a couple of kids, and he's married and so on. Do you think why this is happening? I'll tell you why. Because the Prophet ﷺ warned us against this. He said in the hadith, لا يخلون رجل بامرأة إلا ومعها ذو محرم. Okay, these are the teachings of Muhammad ﷺ, which he said more than 1400 years ago. So the lesson that we want to learn is why things like that happen, even when it's not